Downy Duckling, a Ladybird book. From her little cottage window, Mrs. Downy Duck looked out, said, "Oh, what a frosty morning! What a lot of ice about!" Then she called to Downy Duckling, "Fetch a pail of water, please. All the pipes and taps are frozen. And wear a scarf, or you may freeze." Off went Downy with his bucket and his scarf about him tied. "Come straight back," called Mrs. Downy. "All right, mother," he replied. Downy quickly reached the river, found it was a sheet of ice, wondered, while the mousies watched him, thought, "This isn't very nice." Monty Mouse brought a hatchet from the mouse's hole-in tree. "Thank you, Monty," Downy murmured. "That should do the trick," said he. Then he took the mouse's hatchet, whirled it up around him twice. Down with all his might he brought it. Crash! At once he broke the ice. He and Monty lowered the bucket, leaning forward as they dipped. But before it started filling, Downy leaned too far and slipped. Downy's legs shot out before him. Up the bucket swung again. Bravely, Monty tried to save him, but his efforts were in vain. Down into the icy water, Downy disappeared from view. Monty, hanging on his wingtip, struggled, but was dragged in too. Meanwhile, back inside the cottage, Mrs. Duck became alarmed, set off Ducky to discover whether Downy had been harmed. Then she started on her duties, swept the cobbles with a broom, dusted round and fetched some logs in, lit a fire to warm the room. Next, to get the children's breakfast, Mrs. Downy Duck began. First she neatly laid the table, then she cooked a mash of bran. Suddenly a hasty knocking sounded through the little house. Mrs. Downy's heart beat faster. On the step stood Mrs. Mouse. Mrs. Mouse had come to tell her that her son was lost to view through the ice hole in the river, and Monty Mouse was missing too. Both the mothers, very worried, hurried quickly down the lane, back towards the frozen river, back towards the hole again. Soon they met with Mr. Bunny, told him all their tearful tale. Mr. Bunny turned and joined them, tracked the footsteps down the trail. When they neared the frozen river, first they heard the youngsters' cries. As they came across the hilltop, what a picture met their eyes. Monty's brothers puffed and panted, pulling hard on Monty's tail. Ducky stood behind and helped them, but they pulled without avail. Now the others down the hillside hurried, calling as they ran, joined up in the line with Ducky. What a tug of war began. Then, with all the extra pulling, out popped Monty with a splash, while the others toppled backwards in the snow. Oh, what a crash! Now they gathered round the ice hole, gazing down with anxious stare. Where, oh where, was Downy Duckling? Not a sign of him was there. Sadly, homeward all departed. No one had a word to say. Mr. Bunny took the water. Monty couldn't turn away. Gazing sorrowfully backwards as the others passed from sight, thought he heard a sound or something, waited, wondering, was he right? Up came Downy, bubbling, splashing from the river once again, none the worse for all his ducking. Soon they scampered up the lane. Caught the others on the doorstep. Mrs. Duck, in glad surprise, flapped her wings in great excitement. She could scarce believe her eyes. Soon she had the dripping children, warmly wrapped and growing drier, drinking steaming cups of cocoa, eating cakes before the fire. Then she gave a breakfast party, thanked each helpful furry friend, smiled with happiness at Downy. All was well, and that's the end.